Good morning, everyone. We're drinking our coffee. We're enjoying the morning. Welcome back. If you've watched one of these before, my name is Brian Lucas, and we're rolling through the Danville staff, getting to know each other a little bit better during this quarantine time, because this is what we have time to do. And so today I've got Aaron Ranson with me today, who has been a staple here at the Danville campus, really from the beginning. I'll let you get into that here in a minute. But Aaron joined the staff in 2001, and Aaron, why don't you take us through kind of the history of that moment to now? And you don't have to give us all the things, but we're
Sure.
glad you're part of Danville, so get us there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me this morning. It's great to be here. Yes, I joined the Southland staff in 2001 on the student ministry team. I was the middle school worship pastor, I guess was my title. So I spent some really good years putting together programs and gatherings, environments for middle school aged students at Southland, and got to work with some phenomenal people, leaders, and staff through the years doing that, and really enjoyed it. There was a point, however, where I think God made it really clear to me that my days in student ministry were coming to a close, and which was both exciting, and I also grieved that. I love student ministry and still do, but I knew God was leading me to a new season, and through that period of time, I joined the worship and programming team for Big Church, as we called it when we worked in student ministry. Started working with the Big Church team.
That's awesome.
And, yeah. So it was really fun. Vandy and his team, I got to join and got to help put together weekend services. And in that period of time, Southland was still continuing to grow, and we had an idea to launch a video venue service that became Theater 81 service 10 after. So I kind of got to play a pivotal role, kind of brainstorming and putting a group of people together to dream that service up, and then to execute that service, kind of launch that, which looking back at now was really Southland's first this was our first attempt, really. We didn't know it and didn't necessarily plan it that way. Really our first look into what campuses might look like for us. And so it was still on the same physical site as our campus. But we learned a lot through that. And then, so through that process, I started working with the weekend services team, the production team, and got to lead that team for a while, which was really pivotal for me, because during that time, we started dreaming up and praying through the Danville campus. We knew that, our folks have heard us say that we knew that Danville was going to be first. We had a great core group of people here, and so we knew we were coming. And so I got to really help and think through, like, what's it going to look like? Where are we going to go? How are we going to do this? And then put some of the systems together to make it happen. And so got to help launch the campus. I think I was here maybe the first month of services. The first 4 to 5 weeks was here to kind of help get it off the ground. And little did I know that just maybe a couple of years later, I'd be coming back here full time. And since that time, joined the local Danville staff from a production role. Also got to help out with worship, and now I get to oversee the worship ministry of the Danville campus. And that's kind of an overview, a quick overview of my time here. But yeah, it's cool to have gotten to be on the front end of launching the campus, but then getting to live here and serve this campus, full time. Getting to see kind of both sides of that is really a neat perspective.
Yeah, and that's why I said you really have been here from the beginning, because even though you didn't have the Danville campus name attached to your position during the time, I mean, what you did for Theater 81 and getting that rolling really set up this location. And then, physically, you did set up this location in a quick amount of time, and
Yes,
then joined the campus. So when did you actually take on a position here?
Oh man, the year Yeah, I don't know.
That would
I
have
don't
been
really know.
probably,
I think it was the second year the campus was open.
I was going to say, about the second year ish. We were part time before that and realized we needed a full time person.
Yeah.
And so we were able to get you down here, which has been phenomenal for us, our campus, and our community. Hope so. And speaking of that, hope so for your family too. So speaking of that, who lives under your roof?
Yeah. So my wife Lee, um, who I actually met, she worked at Southland when I joined the staff.
Yeah.
She worked with the HR team and still does. She still works for the church part time from home. So my wife Lee, and then we have three children. We have twin daughters, Lily and Harper, who are 10 years old, which is hard to believe. They
Wow.
are 10 years old, almost 10 and a half. And then our son Silas, who turned 5 in December.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
5 of us, yeah.
Okay. You guys stay active. I know, even
Yeah,
during the
yeah.
time of quarantine, you guys stay active. Okay. Well, let's go through some things. Now that we know kind of who you are, what you are, how you got here, all that. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit more on who you are. So, in that, I'll throw a softball to you and go. Just how is God speaking to you? What maybe Bible story is your favorite, or what's speaking to you right
Yeah, well, what's great about this season is we've been forced to slow down, um, at least on the surface, um, because lots of things that we're used to doing, at least with my family, um, aren't operational right now. So
now?
sports and after school clubs, school itself, all of that, church for me, church services with everybody together on Sunday. So all of that has kind of slowed down, and um, I tell you, it's been really neat to watch so many churches gather online on Sundays. To get to do that with my family is it's a different experience, um, and there's part of me that grieves the fellowship of getting together,
Sure.
certainly. But it's been a neat time at home, really, to be able to worship in a different way, to connect with my own family in a different way. It's been really good. It's given me good perspective. When you're forced to slow down and so many things are kind of removed, you're really left to question what is the most important thing in my life. Like, what is my life really about? Is it about this schedule of stuff that we go from point A to point B, and from this club to that club, and from soccer to basketball, and all these different things, which are not bad at all, and we love those
Sure.
things. Um, but it this time has really forced me to think about what is the most important part of our life,
Yeah.
and um, I keep being reminded of the Israelites in the Book of Exodus when they're in exile and they're in the desert, they're wandering. You know, they have God's presence in the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud. He's promised that he's with them, he's leading them, he's in front of them, he's behind them. Yet they're there for so long that
Mhm.
they grumble and they have all of these issues and they question, why did you bring us out here only to die? Why are we here? You know, and we're, I don't know how many, 3 weeks into our state now. And I think I'm already starting to feel that a little bit, like,
Sure.
man, how long are we going to be in exile? And I know it's not the same, but it is so disruptive, and it's so counter to the patterns and the routines that we've put together, that I think we're forced to stop and to realize that God is who He says He is.
Yeah.
We either our faith is either in Him or it's not, and so we're left with in a position where we have to make the decision. We are going to trust that He is sovereign over all, and
Sure.
that's where I've been the last couple of weeks, just trying to really internalize that, figure out
Sure.
what that means for me and my family.
Yeah. Yeah. During this time, we can either, it's probably one of two ways. You can either go crazy, stir crazy, whatever phrase you want to put in there, the longer this goes on, or this might become the new normal and we have to figure out what that looks like. I
Well,
know for you, yeah, for you, you had told me like you haven't been able to worship with your family in
yeah,
I don't know how long, but
yeah,
now you have this opportunity on the weekends, not with the entire body, but with your family,
right.
worship together, which is new and fun.
It is, yeah, yeah, it is. It's very different, but But you're right. When you say things will look different, and part of me says, I hope so. I hope things look different
Yeah.
for the church, for lots of parts of our society. But yeah, we're forced to wrestle with a lot of things. I think for a lot of people, they we can get to the place where we think that being a Christ follower means I go to church on Sunday.
Right.
And if that's all it ever is, then we've missed the bigger part of what following Jesus is about.
Sure.
And I think a lot of us are processing through that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great reminder. Okay, I'm gonna keep us going. What you're really good at keeping current. So current events, what's going on. I know you're reading a lot in that realm. But is there anything that particular that you're drawn to right now?
You know what I've been doing? This is, I'll just tell on myself. So being home with my kids a lot has made me realize how much room for growth, how much of a growth opportunity I have as a parent. I'll say it that way. I've just picked up a book. It's called Parenting, and Scott Nickel actually was telling our staff about it, and so I went and bought it. And its subtitle is 14 Gospel Principles to help you as you raise your children, something like that. But it's 14 gospel principles for parents to help raise their kids. And so yeah, being at home all day, every day is a challenge. It's hard. I mean, because you're trying to balance all these things. And I find that the longer that I'm at home and the more that I've got going on in my head, the shorter my temper gets.
Yeah.
And I think that's true for all my house. Like, it just, we get real short with each other. And so I've been using this time to really think, man, I've got a lot of growing I can do. I'm really weak in some areas of my parenting, and I know that. And so I picked this book up, and he's a fantastic writer, fantastic pastor. I think Paul David Tripp is his name.
Okay.
And our whole staff is reading a book, as you know, by him as well. And just a wise, godly guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. All right. What's out there on the binge-worthy list that we should all be taking a look at? Or what are you watching? Maybe we should not watch it.
Well, listen, I'm just going to be real with you. Okay.
Yeah,
so
come on.
Everybody, I've seen all these memes and everybody watching this Tiger King documentary. And listen, you shouldn't watch it. People of the world, you should not watch this show. But it's fascinating. It's fascinating. It's like, I just don't even know what I'm watching, to be honest with you. I don't even know what I'm watching. But you know me, Brian, when it comes down to it, I always go back to the West Wing.
Come on.
Always go back to the West Wing. You can never go wrong. Such phenomenal acting, writing. It's so good. So good.
I always feel better about the world after watching one of those. And it's a fictional setup, but yeah.
You know, we're all be better.
Man, okay. We'll watch an episode after we're done here.
Right.
Okay. Well, let me give you a chance. Well, let me do this. What is it? Because I think you're about to record one. So what's your ministry doing during this time that's maybe creative or special or a little bit different and out of the ordinary that you can describe for everybody?
Yeah, well, like we said, lots of things looking different these days. And so our creative arts team is still hard at work putting together the service that we do for online that you see that we all get to participate in on Sundays. So we're still kind of behind the scenes, still putting that together. But we've got to find creative ways. I've had to find creative ways to stay in contact with our volunteer team, and just from a pastoral standpoint, making sure that people know that the church isn't meeting, but the church is not closed. I mean, we are the church, and we're always open for business in that regard. So to share each other's burdens, to pray for each other, help meet each other's needs, whatever that looks like. So trying to stay in contact with volunteers, and then also realizing that as a lot of churches have figured out, you know, there's a lot of validity in an online presence. And so our worship pastors are going to be hosting little I don't want to call them services, but just a time where we can speak directly to our church and maybe share some of the songs that are impactful to us. And so we're all going to have a chance to do that. I think I've got a date coming up this week where I'll have a chance to log on to the Southland social media accounts and just shepherd our church, just do that. So and that's neat too, because when we plan our services, there's a lot of prayer and a lot of planning that goes into how we put our services together, a lot of thought behind that. But because of the nature of our attendance, and we have so many people that attend most of our campuses, there's not a whole lot of time for those unscripted moments. And so being able to have a platform and an opportunity to share where you're not, where we're not so beholden to those times, if you will, sure. Because if our services go way long because I want to share a thought that ends up being 5 minutes long, then our children's ministry is going crazy. Our parking team guest experience is going crazy because people are trying to get in when people are supposed to be getting out, and it's just difficult to do that. So I think these moments will be really unique and will allow us to share in ways that we don't always get to on Sundays.
Yeah, I'm glad that you get to do that. I'm glad we get to share and what God's leading you to and get to share your talents too. So thanks for doing that.
Sure.
Hey, let me give you just a moment to sound off about maybe something that's on your heart or what you'd like to communicate out to the world.
Well, I think some of what I've said already. Just paraphrase. I think it's important to stay connected to the church. I think this time is a unique time to be able to check in with the global church and see what's going on around the world, and even participate in that. I've had the opportunity the last few Sundays. I probably watched 15 different churches online, which I know part of that's just me, but I have a lot of friends who are in ministry and a lot of people I've known through the years. And so being able to see what they do, which I never get to, unless it's, that one time a year where I make a point to take a week off and to get to another church but this has allowed me the opportunity to plug in with lots of different congregations, which is neat to hear what God is doing there. And to see, it really gives you a big picture of the fact that the church is so much bigger than our church, than any one church. The church is a global thing, and God is at work around the world. And it's really it's an unprecedented time, at least for me, to both be able to have the time to see it, and for so many churches who don't really have an online presence, now they do, because they've been forced to figure that out. And so it's neat to be able to connect that way. But that's what I would say to folks: stay connected. God is near. I mean, He's promised that. When Jesus ascended back to heaven, He sent the Holy Spirit who lives in us. So God is not far from us. He is near, and He's at work. And just because we're stuck at home does not mean that we don't get to be a part of that work or see that work taking place.
Yeah, man. Thanks for that reminder. That's good. Well, let's finish up on kind of a light note. I'm going to throw some lightning round questions to you, and we'll get through this, okay? So some of these, I think I know your answer, but we'll see if it matches up with how well I know you, okay? So your favorite pizza place. You have a favorite pizza place?
Oh, my word. My favorite pizza place. Well, I mean, I'd have to say, are you talking locally or?
No, I'm just giving you the opportunity.
I've ever had. I'll tell you, probably like one of my go-to, Smashing Tomato in Lexington.
Okay.
Neapolitan style pizza. It's authentic. It's really good.
It is really good. Okay.
Really good.
I'll join you there. Okay. So favorite burrito joint?
Oh, yeah. So this is one of the most fiercely debated topics of our time, right? I'm a Chipotle guy.
See?
I'm a Chipotle guy. My wife, she's a Qdoba girl.
Oh.
And we disagree on this.
Okay.
But Left to it, I'm Chipotle all day long.
Are you guys at the point where you go, like, we'll stop at Chipotle and then hit Qdoba just so everybody can be happy?
No, we are not
Okay,
at that
good.
point.
Good. Okay. All right. Your favorite either band or artist in high school?
In high school, man, I was all about the Seattle grunge movement. I mean, all about it. I'd have to say Pearl Jam.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Bucket list item?
Oh man. Well, I've got several. One of the things I want, and maybe you could help me with this, Mr. Lucas. I have always, I've been fortunate. I've gotten to travel a lot and do lots of things. One thing I've always wanted to do that I've never been able to do is I would love to ride in a helicopter.
Okay.
See, that's bucket list,
I might
but
know a guy.
that's attainable, right? Like I should have been able to make that happen by now, but I've not. I've always wanted to ride in a helicopter.
Okay.
Not necessarily in some glamorous place, just for the perspective.
We know a guy. So yes, we can make that happen. All right. I gave you a heads up on this. So how many states do you think you visited?
High 40s. I'd say probably 44, 45.
Okay. We'll have to visit that list soon. International travel, give me the number of countries.
The number. I honestly don't know the number. I'll go off the top of my head. Spain, France, Italy, Sicily, Malta, Singapore, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan. I'm sure I'm missing a few somewhere. Oh, Peru, Colombia, Honduras, Mexico, Costa Rica. I'm not counting if I was just in the airport. I don't count that, right? Like I had to, if I've gone through immigration in a country, then I'll say I've been there.
Yeah.
So that's off the top of my head.
That's pretty good. That's a full passport. I like that. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Your favorite of all those?
Oh, I'd have to say Singapore.
Really? Okay.
Which people who know me well know I tend to talk about Singapore all the time. It's just a fascinating place. Fascinating place.
Okay. All right. Well, everybody, that's a little bit of Aaron. Hey man, thank you so much for all you do, your passion for ministry, your heart for people, and the way that you just lead the worship culture at our church, specifically here at Danville, but in the kingdom greater than all. So thank you for your service to the kingdom. Thank you for all that you do here for Danville and our community.
You got it.
All right. Well, thank you for being with us.
Okay, well, we're a little further into quarantine now, but I want to thank Aaron for giving us his time. It's always great to sit down and chat with him for a little bit. And up next, we'll have another Danville staff member. So we'll see you real soon as we check in with the rest of the team.